First round of the Lucca Chess Festival. This is the hardest tournament I joined so far, because in the last tournament I reached 1700 Elo FIDE and now I can join the highest group, which means that in my group everyone is 1700 or higher. There are 3 FIDE masters, a lot of national masters, and yeah, it is going to be a crazy tournament. So I'm playing against a national master, a candidate national master to be precise, and yeah, he was really strong. Now he's still pretty strong, but of course you get worse with time, but you still keep the title. So I'm playing as white. I played d4 and it replied with d6, the French. I played d4 and he played c5, which is an opening. Apparently it's called the Franco-Sicilian defense. Yeah, it is a sort of Sicilian defense. Let's say I play this, you play this, and I play, well, okay, yeah, d4. You could play e6. You could play e6. The fact is that, and I'm going back because otherwise we can't see everything. Okay, the problem is that I can just play d5. I mean, I could take and develop your bishop, which doesn't make any sense. I could play knight f3, which is the most played move, but I didn't play against this line a lot of times, but I always had great results after the move d5. I really like this, so when I saw this setup I was pretty happy. He decided to take, I decided to take, which makes sense. And now d6. As you can see, white has a ton of space. Black setup doesn't make any sense in my opinion. And now knight f3, knight f6. You could play knight c3 or h3. I thought about it, makes a lot of sense. h3 in particular, basically you can't play after h3. It's hard to develop your bishop. The knight can't go on g4. So it makes a ton of sense. I played d3, which is still a really good move. Bishop d3. The point is that you can't take the pawn because otherwise there is the check and the win the knight. You can block, but we don't really care. We can take the knight. So the pawn is not under attack. And we can play bishop d3. Now bishop g5 makes sense indeed. Bishop g4. He decided to play bishop e7. And now short castle a6 with the idea to play b5. He wants to, you know, create some space, gain some space. And I played c4. Why c4? It is just a really good move. You cannot play this because otherwise I take. Still the knight can't really take. But let's say you take, I'm going to take this way and that and this. Otherwise I apparently have something better. Bishop e4. Oh yeah, bishop e4. You play this, I still win the knight. You move the knight, I win the rook. Pretty good. So you can't do anything. That's why I played c4. And it is the best move. He decided to castle and now h3. Why h3? Again, because since I have the bishop on d3, the only square you have now is on d7. You cannot go on f5. You cannot go on g4. You have zero play. That's why I wouldn't suggest you to play this opening, because it is just bad. You have zero space, zero play. So rook e8. And now knight on c3, just developing pieces. I know I'm better, I have to be better. I might not be winning, makes sense. It's still the opening, but it's definitely a pretty good position. And now I have to find a way to make progresses. He decided to play knight on d7 and now bishop on f4. What is the point? This pawn is weak, so I want to put more pressure. He decided to develop the knight. As you can see, super passive position. And now queen c2. Why queen c2? A lot of pressure on the pawn. He played knight on g6. Now rooks are connected, so I can eventually play rook on e1, for example. And I decided to play bishop on h2 because, of course, after knight on g6, the bishop is under attack, so you have to move it somewhere. Bishop on h2 makes sense, as still putting a lot of pressure on the d6 pawn. Rook on b8, I might have some tactic in the future that relies on this pawn. Let's say I have a knight on e4, I can take, and the rook is hanging. And now I decided to play a4. No, wait, I played rook on e1 first. Bishop on d7, okay, and now a4, what is the point? It really wants to gain space for these pieces, and I'm just preventing it. You cannot play this move, because I'm just going to take, and take. This is defended, you're not going anywhere, and you open my file too. So you cannot play this move, that's why a4, it is a pretty annoying move to face. Bishop on f8, I don't really get the point. I mean, it is the best move. Well, maybe the point is that your pieces are really bad, so you want to grade. Because, let's say, okay, maybe this rook is not inferior to this rook, but after you grade, you might move the queen, you might use this rook too, so yeah, it kind of makes sense. I decided to play because you can take with many pieces, but every capturing is not good for you. Like, this undevelops, queen on e8, rook on e1. So yeah, he decided to take with the bishop. Again, my advantage is still around +2. As you can see in classical chess, and by the way, we are playing 90 minutes each, plus 30 seconds every move of increment. So we have a lot of time to think, too much definitely. And as you can see in classical, yeah, I have a great position, but it's still +2, not even +2 actually. It's not easy to gain a lot of advantage unless you play against me. So rook on e1, queen on a5, just trying to put some pressure. I decided to play b3, no wait, knight on d2 first, with the idea to develop the knight on e4. Well, in this position, my plan is that I want to win this pawn somehow. And the idea of knight d2 is that after I play knight on e4, I just keep putting more pressure on the pawn, so yeah, it has to be a good one. Bishop on d7, which does make sense. Now I decided to play b3 in order to consolidate the pawn. What is the point? Let's say I move the queen somewhere, I move the knight, this is going to be hanging. Let's say I play knight on e4 now, this is hanging, so for this reason b3 made a lot of sense in my mind. Apparently knight on f3 was better. What is the point? What is even the point? Okay, and now queen b4. Before moving the knight, I had to be careful because you could blunder in this position pretty fast. Let's say I play knight on e4. This is supposed to be losing. Okay, you could take with the bishop, but let's say you take with the knight, the rook is hanging, it's over. So instead of doing that, I just decided to play king on f1, which in my opinion, it is a pretty clever move. The point of king on f1 is that the rook is now defended. I could have played rook on e3, but you could play rook on e8 and probably have to grade. So instead of doing that, I just decided to play king on f1, and if you play rook on e8, at least I didn't lose any time with the rook. So rook on d8, trying to defend the pawn somehow, and now is finally time to play knight c on e4. Why knight c on e4 instead of knight d on e4? The point is that, well, if I remember correctly, if I play this, the knight doesn't have a ton of good squares, while if I play this, I might play knight on f3 in the future if it comes handy. So that's why I decided to move this knight. He decided to take, and by the way, I played this game yesterday, but I already played other 2 games today, so I'm just really tired and I don't remember everything. So I decided to capture, and now bishop on e8. I didn't tell you something about this game. This is probably the most painful game I've ever played in my tournaments experience. This is completely winning, and I saw why pretty fast. Knight take on d5. Like, the fact the bishop moves doesn't make any difference. It doesn't defend the pawn. Let's say you take with the rook, I take, the bishop is hanging, you take, the bishop is hanging. Let's say you take with the bishop, same stuff, take, rook take, the bishop is hanging, GG. And you can't even defend. This is checkmate, I saw this. So what can you do? after I take with the knight? Well, apparently it says bishop on d7. Yeah, that's kinda it. I thought you could take and play bishop on d7 after that, which is still horrible. I thought was like +3, not +5.5. I also saw something else though. I saw that you could capture with bishop. Okay, so at this point I want to turn off the engine. So it was +5 if you take with the knight. I was like, I can take with the knight, but why not to take with the bishop? I mean, it is the same, isn't it? If you take with the bishop, what is the difference? Well, first of all, let's say you take and knight take. Alright, there is a lot of pressure on the bishop, so you have to move it, and this knight is pretty much a monster, so I'm left with this knight, and I thought it was a pretty strong one. So this was the point. I thought that instead of doing this, let's say, okay, you take now, and bishop takes. This bishop is good, but I'm not threatening to win the bishop now, so you can do something else. Like, I wasn't sure, maybe he had some tactic, something else, I don't know. He didn't have to move the bishop, so I thought taking with the bishop first was much better. Now, let's turn on the engine again. This +2, I lost +3 points of advantage compared to the other move, and I thought I was lost. I totally thought I was lost. I played this move, and I was like, okay, I win. The difference between having a knight and the bishop there is that if you have the knight, f5 doesn't make any sense. That is just a knight on d6, which is defended from the distance. If you have a bishop on d6, the difference is that the only thing that is defending it is the knight. That's the difference. So he played this move, and I just, like, my brain collapsed. Honestly, you don't understand how angry I was after this move. I dominated for all the game and I managed to blunder the piece, because this blunders a piece. I'm still winning. If you find knight on f6, g takes, bishop c7, you still attack the bishop, or you take this way. Okay, so let's say you play rook a8, bishop takes f5. Yeah, completely, like, yeah, completely didn't see any of this stuff. I saw knight on f6, I was like, well, I still lose a piece, doesn't make any sense. Like, honestly, my brain stopped working after I saw f5. f5, I completely forgot about it. I have problems with pawn moves. So, yeah. And I decided to take on c5. I was like, well, since I'm going to lose a piece. The fact is that if I take, you take this way. Okay, so I move the bishop, I lose the bishop. I win this, you win this. I lose a piece. So it was like, what if I take the pawn? Since I'm going to lose a piece anyway, the queen is hanging. You take, knight take, queen takes, but I win 3 pawns in this change. So it was like, alright, I'm up 3 pawns, I'm down a piece, we can play a game. The fact is that it is classical, my opponent is pretty strong, and at this level pretty much, I mean, if you're down a piece, it's pretty much over. We played bishop on f7, and now, I mean, it's pretty painful for me to show you this, but his conversion was flawless. So, I mean, I think he's pretty instructive to show you. And yeah, bishop on f7, my idea is to try to push these pawns. I can't really do that. Queen on d2, b5. I played queen on a5 thinking I was like recovering from my disadvantage. The fact is that this is hanging and the rook is hanging too. And my opponent played a great move, which again I missed. I was just tilt. I miss rook on f8. Rook on f8 is an incredible move. First of all, I cannot take. I cannot take. Well, he's saying I could, but bishop take on d5 and GG. Which, if I remember correctly, I took, in fact. Yeah. I can take, but I mean, is the only thing you can do pretty much. The queen and the rook are staring at f2. If you move the bishop, you get mated. There is nothing you can do. I decided to take. He took the pawn. If I take, what happens? If I take, what happens? Because I'm not getting mated. C takes d5, rook take. And it's pretty hard to defend it. I don't think I can play this. Yeah, rook e8 and pray. I decided to play another terrible move instead. Bishop on e6, which is just game over, because after this happens, now is actually threatening mate. Rook e2. Knight f4, which is imprecise. Is mating 14? Mating 14. Okay. Bishop takes. I move. You take the queen. Well, he had the mating 14. He decided to convert in the most practical way. That's why I decided to show you this. He plays everything and goes into a winning endgame, as every of us should do. You don't have to play something too complicated. If you see a way to play it into a winning endgame, and it's kind of simple, just go for it. I kept playing because, I mean, I have the pass pawns. You can't really stop them. There is no way. I mean, I just have a king. He brings the king into the game, which again is a pretty good thing you should do. And now he decided to give away the bishop for 2 pawns, which is pretty clever. Basically saying, well, you have 0 chance now. Which is absolutely true. You play this, I play b5, and I resigned. So what can I say about this game? Till the middle game, I dominated the game. The opening went the best way possible. I didn't even know theory about this because I always have a great result against it. As you can see, I mean, my position was great. If I'm dumb is another story. But yeah, so opening was great, middle game was great, dominated for all the game. And I made one mistake, just one mistake. I mean, then I made other mistake, but after that, which lost the game completely. I'm not trying to justify myself, I'm just dumb. And I'm really pissed about this game, so I can assure you this won't happen again. Like, now I'm pretty careful with pawn moves, so if I want to be positive about something, well, after this loss, I'm going to be more careful. And another good thing is that after this game, I'm going to be pretty angry with myself and play better. So see you guys soon with the second round of the tournament.